eye-rising. That's what one might say when they look at the Tennessee Volunteers season of 2017. Eye-rising because they only won 4 games and lost 8. Not even close to bowl contention. Even more eye-rising. They did the offer in conference play. That's right, no wins and 8 losses. Yeah, that'll get you fired fast at a name as big as Tennessee. And that's what happened to Butch Jones, fired after 5 seasons as head coach. But not long after that, the Volunteers thought they had the right guy in Ohio State defensive coordinator Greg Schiano. But pretty much immediately after he was hired, social media went ballistic. Tennessee fans were furious because they did not want Schiano coaching their team. And the reason was because they thought that he had knowledge back when he was an assistant coach under Joe Paterno at Penn State about Jerry Sandusky's sexual abuse. Nothing's ever been proven that Schiano had prior knowledge, but nevertheless, Tennessee backed out, and now Schiano's back at Ohio State. And in December, Tennessee decided to hire their new athletic director in Phil Fulmer. That's right, the same Fulmer that won a national championship for the Volunteers 20 seasons ago. Now the new head coach is Jeremy Pruitt, who knows a thing or two about winning. Of course, really paid his dues back when he was at Florida State, at Georgia, and, of course, most recently at Alabama, helping lead the Tide to a national championship season of 2017. So if Kirby Smart can have a lot of success at Georgia, can Pruitt have success, too, at Tennessee? Of course, Smart was a former defensive coordinator at Alabama prior to Pruitt. Well, for Pruitt, it is going to be a major challenge because, one, you've got to have the talent, and the overall talent just isn't there for Tennessee. The recruiting has got to be better as well from this moment on, and the injury situation, which you can't always control, needs to really work out on the healthy side for this Tennessee team because last year, especially on the offensive line, it was a banged-up team. The Volunteers offensively, well, not much to smile about, less than 20 points per game, which was 13th worst in college football. You do bring in some help besides Pruitt. Offensive coordinator Tyson Helton from Western Kentucky. Hilltoppers have some good offenses, and you will see a faster-paced Tennessee offense, and they will be throwing more short passes on a regular basis. So expect that, Tennessee fans. But I don't know who's going to be their quarterback. I think they've got 3 legitimate choices. Jared Garottino, who got more snaps than anybody last year as a freshman, 4 touchdowns, only 2 picks. It just wasn't a Tennessee offense that did much in 2017. So you can go with him or Will McBride, another quarterback who saw some spring action. Or how about Keller Christ, 11-2 as a starter at Stanford, now a graduate transfer. He figures into the mix as far as the starting QB as well. The running back situation, well, you lose your best running back in John Kelly, left early for the Los Angeles Rams. Tennessee's running game needs a pick-me-up, and how? They only averaged 3 yards per carry in 2017, but you do get the second leading rusher back in Ty Chandler, 4.3 yards per carry, and you do get some help with a graduate transfer in Madre London, Michigan State. The receivers, at least you get the top 2 back, and last year the Volunteers only averaged 173 yards through the air per game. Yeah, the Tennessee offense last year was not very good. But you do get the top 2 guys back in the receiving corps. That's Marquez Callaway, who accelerates big time after the catch, and they'll also use him on punt returns. And he had 5 touchdowns a year ago. And you also get a guy back who had 37 receptions in Brandon Johnson. The offensive line, they lost 3 of them. And as of right now, it looks like Tennessee, of their 5 down linemen, 4 of them are going to be sophomores. But the best of the bunch was second-team All-SEC last year in the left tackle in Trey Smith. And it looks like Drew Richmond, don't be surprised if he plays the other tackle position. He's the only one of the 5, by the way, in Richmond that's not a sophomore that's projected to start up front. Tennessee, one thing that will help them the most if they can improve on red zone. When they got inside the opponent's 20-yard line, which was 35 times, they only scored touchdowns 19 times. That's barely over half. Changes are definitely in order for the Vols, and that does include the defense. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it was flat out horrible. Last season, giving up 29 points per game. But more alarming than that, anybody could have run on this defense, me or you. Well, maybe you, not me. I'm out of shape. But the bottom line was Tennessee gave up a ton per game. 251 on the ground per contest, worst in the SEC, 5th worst in the country. So, changes in order, and you do bring in Kevin Shure, the former outside linebackers coach for the Georgia Bulldogs. He now has a very difficult assignment trying to get the Tennessee defense to respectability. They're going to change alignment. It's going to be a 3-4 defense, but you do miss out on 5 starters, and you only get 1 starter back on that front line. That's going to be Jonathan Combo. He's the only one coming back, but he is a senior, had 29 tackles a year ago. We'll see if Shai Tuttle can help out on the line as well. 308 pounds at 27 tackles, and occupying another defensive end position will be Kyle Phillips, who had 33 stops. The most experience for Tennessee is going to be the linebacking core, considering it's a 3-4. That's very good news for a volunteer defense that was just so susceptible last season. 5th worst in the SEC in total yardage allowed, giving up 410 per game. But both inside linebackers do come back. Corte Sapp has 75 tackles, and Daniel Betili, 90 tackles, which led the Volunteers last year at the other inside linebacker. Plus, you get Darren Kirkland, who should feature into the rotation. He's had knee problems, though. And you do have Darrell Taylor on the outside playing linebacker. He had 3 sacks in 2017. Secondary, when you look at the stats, you're going to think, man, these guys were great. They were tops in the SEC, giving up just 167 yards per game through the air. Biggest reason for that, though, was because teams were attacking the Volunteers on the ground. And if you knew that you could run with ease against them, why throw very often or even at all? But you do get some experience back at the safety positions. Nigel Warrior, 2nd on the team in tackles last year with 83. He returns, along with Micah Abernathy, 3rd on the team in tackles with 81. Good news and bad news for Tennessee is that the good news is that they do return the top 4 tacklers amongst the top 10 that are coming back. The bad news is that they lose the other 6. So this volunteer defense, it can only go up from here with a change in alignment and with a change at the coordinator position. This schedule is not going to allow Tennessee to breathe a whole lot. That will include the opener against West Virginia, one of the best offenses in the country, led by one of the best QBs in the country in Will Grier. The conference opener is at home against Florida September 22nd. Last season, the Gators beat Tennessee on the final play of the game thanks to a Hail Mary. And then, the next few games, in fact, the next 4 games, I'm not seeing wins. At Georgia between the hedges. You get the bye week. You'll need it because you get Auburn after that. Then the defending national champion, Crimson Tide, and a showdown on the road against South Carolina. Still, despite the difficult September and October, it would appear, if Tennessee has 2 wins entering the month of November, there is a shot that the Volunteers can get the 6 wins and a bowl bid. That's because November, compared to the other 2 months, as far as competition, is pale in comparison. Those 4 games, although not givens, are all winnable for Tennessee. But because they've had issues with the ground game as well as stopping the run and that schedule as well, victories are going to be hard to come by for Jeremy Pruitt in his first year in Knoxville. I've got Tennessee picked 2nd to last in the SEC East. That's my look at the Volunteers. We'll see you next time.